Over the years, we've learned that many important lessons, you can derive them from zombie films. Like, watch out when dead family members return to life. Don't wander down dark hallways alone. And always, always aim for the brain, right between the eyes if you can. Yes, zombie films, they hold a very special place in all of our hearts. But what is the best of all time? Let's get into it. Trick or treat, kids. It's a very special Halloween edition of The Loop. Joining us via satellite tonight on Hallows Eve from Los Angeles, horror journalist, film producer, and all-around scream queen, Heidi Martinuzzi is here. And from the set of G4's live Night of the Living Dead special that airs directly following tonight's show, filmmaker Mark Borchardt is here. Welcome to The Loop, everyone. Now, listen, zombie films been around for nearly 75 years. I mean, it started with White Zombie back in 32, really. It seems like they get more and more popular, but Mark, what's the appeal of zombie films? Why is this a genre that just continues to thrive?
Well, they're a reflection of the possibility of us, man. So that ought to scare the hell out of you, and you want to attempt to make the most out of your life. And Kevin, you're a good man and a great time.
But and I appreciate that. You're right on all those accounts. But can zombies really be that scary when you can essentially jog at a brisk pace away from them?
Oh, yeah.
Well, of course they're scary because... I'm sorry for interrupting you, too.
No, that's fine. They're scary because they, even though they're going slow, they always seem to get people anyway. So that's part of why they're so scary. It's the fact that they're going so slow and you still can't get away from them.
And there's always an exponential amount of them, so it's ever increasing. And they can be in anywhere, and it gets night, man, you might be in trouble.
All right, so we've got mass quantities of brain deads roaming around. It sounds like a red state. But now, is it just about the gore and the scaring? I mean, you can't really name a single zombie, can you? No real characters stand out, Heidi, is it?
Oh, yeah, what about Bub in Day of the Dead? There's a zombie that's got a name and a face and a personality and everything. I mean, he was a central character of the film. So I think that sometimes you do have a zombie that's...
Okay, touche, fair enough. Now, Mark, what does it take to make a good zombie film? Is there a checklist?
Well, absolutely, man. One thing as such as the Night of the Living Dead, you want a believable set of circumstances, that these are real people in real jeopardy, and that these zombies also must really be a scary force and not just some goofism being portrayed.
Heidi, what do you think? I mean, is it about realistic characters? Is it about buckets of blood?
I think anybody who wants to see a really good zombie film now is going to be looking for a certain amount of gore. I think if the gore sucks, if there's not a lot of gore, then you're not going to probably have that fun of a zombie movie. I think there's something really fun about masses of gore. I think that's why Dead Alive is such a good film, because you've got one of the most bloody films ever. I think you've got to have gore.
Now you're talking about fun, though, but we also have to intermix that with terror, which is not from gore, but rather from a very chilling set of circumstances.
True, but if you're going to have people walking around rotting, it's a lot better to have some of the blood and some of the gore going on with them to help the terror along. Otherwise, you may as well just make The Haunting, don't you think?
Heidi, I think we all absolutely agree.
All right, well, let's talk about the actual films now. Mark, what are some of your picks for perhaps the best zombie movies of all time, if you had to pick a favorite?
Yeah, it's quite simple. Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. That's it, period.
Heidi, do you agree?
I like those films, but my favorite has got to be the original Day of the Dead. I think it's a much better film than the first two in a lot of different ways.
Did anybody see The Stuff? Am I the only guy that rented The Stuff back in like 1985 on accident with the bubbling ooze from the ground that turns people into zombies? I mean, listen, some actually argue, I thought it was a great zombie film, but some would argue that films like Evil Dead and even Slither, they don't qualify as actual zombie movies, even though I thought they were filled with zombies. But Heidi, you have a particular criteria when it comes to zombies,
right?
Yeah,
I think in order for somebody to be a zombie, they have to be dead, and they can't have a soul. You can't have a reanimated corpse that's possessed by a spirit or a demon. I think that doesn't really count. I think the fact they've got to definitely have, that soulless quality.
Mark,
and they can't just have a plague like in 28 Days Later. I think that's retarded.
What do you think now, Mark? Because I thought 28 Days Later they were clearly zombies, but because it was bacterial, that doesn't count?
Well, no, of course not. That's ridiculous. I mean, the reason for the zombies coming into being are, as always, as yet unknown. It's purely speculative, whether it's a satellite from Venus or bacteria. It really doesn't matter. What we're concerned about is that these legions of the undead exist, and that's it, period.
Well, if modern video games have taught us anything, if you have a lawnmower or a baseball bat handy, we're all going to be just fine. So make sure you stop by your Ace Hardware on the way home before you guys trick-or-treat tonight. I want to thank Heidi and Mark for joining us at the digital water cooler and for keeping us all in the loop.